have our first panel discussion for the day, and this is going to be an interesting one because it's introducing us to a world of something that we haven't spoken about entirely over the last 5 days. This panel is called Sasol EFT Applies the Fischer-Tropsch Technology for Sustainable Aviation Fuel. So to break down this mouthy phrase, we have a couple of super minds on the panel who will be leading you into this discussion. First up, let's welcome Theo Pretorius. His career at Sasol spans 27 years, where he has gained both local and international experience in project development, implementation, directing Sasol's technology strategies, and of course, working within Sasol's technology licensing business. He's the Vice President of Technology Management in Energy, R&T at Sasol. Welcome, Theo, on stage. He's not alone. We also have Daisy Msiza, who is a Senior Business Analyst at Sasol EFT. Daisy joined Sasol EFT in February, but before then she started at Synfuels Refining as an engineering in training and later joined Sasol X as a process engineer. Most of her experience has been at a catalyst manufacturing plant. Let's welcome Daisy Msiza. Two more speakers to go. We have Manaha Mphahlele, who is an industrial engineer in training, supporting the Sasol EFT business. She specifically looks at business development and brand and communications. Again, this sounds like a mouthful, so she's going to tell us all about the work that she does within Sasol EFT. She's passionate about working with new business units to establish ways of work and processes that enable longevity and overall success. Let's welcome Manaha. And finally, we have Tabelo Mampuru, who is a process engineer in training supporting the Sasol EFT business. Tabelo is a passionate and innovative engineer determined to improve the world and has contributed to research and knowledge on wastewater treatment studies. Let's welcome Tabelo. Now, before I do step on stage and leave this panel, it would be remiss of us as a family to not acknowledge that one of our panelists has a birthday today. Theo Pretorius has his birthday today, and as a family, I think all of us at home, right here in the classroom, should sing happy birthday. So come on and join me, let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Theo. Happy birthday to you. Woo. Thank you so much for joining us and singing happy birthday to Theo, and do send birthday wishes on the chat that we'll be reading later. But for now, let's hear from this amazing panel. Check you later.
Busi, thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you very much to everyone for the birthday wishes. Really appreciate it. But at this age, one's not really proud of adding the years, really. But nevertheless, good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today, speaking to you and being joined by these three lovely ladies, talking to you about Sasol EFT, a new business we launched just about a year ago, and how we're going to be fighting climate change. Now, I think most of you would know that carbon dioxide, or CO2, is a major contributor to global warming. And the transport industry, which through the combustion of fossil fuels in vehicles like cars, buses, trucks, ships, and airplanes, significantly contribute to that. And this airline industry is probably one of the most difficult and challenging industry sectors to reduce its carbon footprint on the earth. And we, as Sasol EFT, are very much encouraged by the opportunities that we have with Sasol's technology to help fight that climate change impact. And just a bit of a little bit extra context, the airline industry itself produces about 2.5% of the greenhouse gas emissions overall in the world. And although there are many efficiency programs and lots of efforts that's going in to reduce it, there's only one solution that can make a very big impact on the greenhouse gas emissions from airplanes, and that is sustainable aviation fuel. The IATA, or the International Air Transport Association, has committed to net zero impact by 2050. And in order to do that, massive amounts of sustainable aviation fuel is required. It's a drop in fuel into the existing infrastructure. Yes. And just to put it a little bit into context, by 2050, we expect that more than 100 million tons per annum of jet fuel or sustainable aviation fuel will be required. And we are going to be part of that solution. So I'd like to ask Tabello to just explain to you a little bit, how do we use technology to get to those solutions? Tabello.
Thank you so much, Theo. I would just want to take your attention back to what Theo mentioned around climate change and global warming, which also we know that it is the major contributor to that is the excessive emissions of greenhouse gases. The major part of it, which is carbon dioxide. And if you know of Sasol, you know that we use our coal to liquids processes, where coal is a fossil fuel. And we are now trying to solve the global warming issue with introducing the new process, which is the power to liquids, sometimes referred to as PTL. The importance of this is that instead of our coal, which is a fossil fuel, which is not renewable, let alone not sustainable, we are now looking into using resources like your biomass. When I speak of biomass, you can think of your forestry residues, your sawdust from paper mills, and another aspect of that is the municipal waste, which also is very much sustainable. I mean, I won't get into detail with that. We all know every day we are contributing towards that. And that is waste that is would normally be put into landfills, and it will then ferment and then release your methanes, which is also not a very attractive contribution to the atmosphere. So if we now take that as our source of carbon, and then we also augment that with our green hydrogen, which is then just produced from the electrolysis process, which simply you just take water, you pass electricity through that, which very important is the renewable electricity. Mm-hmm. You pass through that, you break your water molecules, the H2 into your O2, then which our desired product from that is the H2. Yeah. You take the carbon from the biomass that I mentioned, you combine that with the hydrogen, then you put that into our proprietary technology, which is the Fischer-Tropsch, and you get what is shown there at the very end of the slide as the sustainable products. And another thing, if you see that there's a gasification process just after your biomass is put into the process, and another emission there will be carbon dioxide still, which is why in the middle there from the left-hand side, you will see that there is also another pathway which then introduces the capturing of carbon dioxide, which is already the undesirable element in the atmosphere that we are trying to combat and reduce. So you take that from our hard-to-abate industries, including Sasol and many other industries. You take that, you capture it, and you put it into our system, our processes, referred to as the reverse water gas shift. Again, you put together with the hydrogen, and what you get is now products that are not only sustainable, green, and also it's very important. Learners, you are still developing, you also want to get into the industry, and it's important that we who are at the forefront right now ensure that by the time that you now get to the industry, it's sustainable. You can still produce, you can still meet your daily needs, which, I mean, look around, everything you use on a daily comes from our products, and it's important that we ensure the continuity of that. And very important with our Sasol Fischer-Tropsch process comes a very important technology, which is the effluent biotreatment, which also speaks into trying to close the loop where we don't move from cradle to grave, but rather cradle to cradle. So we are using our wastewater, which is the biggest byproduct, into a Fischer-Tropsch process. You take that water, we treat it, we reuse it in our systems. That is very important because water is a very scarce resource. I mean, very passionate, close to my heart. I'm from Limpopo, and water is a very scarce resource. So it's very important that as we advance technology, as we advance our way of living, we have all of that in mind. And right now, very important, I just want to hand over to Manaha, who will then explain to you further what do I mean about renewable electricity, or renewable energy, rather.
So, in terms of the comparison between non-renewable energy and renewable energy looks at energy sources that are from nature. These sources are also able to replenish themselves faster than they are consumed. Then, these also are able to be used over a period of time continuously without any fear of them being wasted. So it is better to use renewable sources of energy, such as wind and solar, in all of our systems to ensure that they are sustainable and last a long time. We are trying to move away from coal as well as gas, which also cause a lot of harm to the atmosphere and the environment. Hence, Sasol EcoFT is a more environmentally friendly company and establishes itself as leaders within the eco-safety space. So, looking forward, the product that we are creating within Sasol EcoFT is sustainable aviation fuel, as Theo mentioned, also shortened for SAF. And SAF has been proven to be one of the most viable large-scale carbon reduction solutions within the aviation sector. The importance of SAF is that it is from sustainable feedstock materials, meaning that these sources can be renewed and they're available over a period of time. We can use plants, we can use carbon captured from the air, as well as waste material, as Sabelo has mentioned. Another amazing benefit of SAF is that it is able to reduce the life cycle carbon emissions by up to 100%, further emphasizing the impact that Sasol EcoFT has in achieving the net zero by 2050. Going forward, this will also allow the overall aviation sector to reduce its impact on climate change. Now, for some fun facts. The use of SAF has already been used throughout all of these years, and last year, over 100 million liters of SAF was used. Now, to achieve what Theo said as the 2050 target of being able to produce a specific amount of liters per year, what is still needed is over 449 billion liters to be produced. And we as a team are about to be, or are still in the process of achieving that and leading that transition. Then what is significant within the progress of SAF is that over 50 airlines have already used this material within their airplanes, and over 450,000 flights have used SAF over this period of time. So either one of us on this panel have flown in those flights, or you in the audience. And lastly, Sasol EcoFT plans to expand and scale up and become even bigger and better and produce more sustainable products. What we need is an advancement in technology, as well as the reduction of the cost for green hydrogen and sustainable carbon. Now, Daisy will be showing you just how exactly Sasol has become leaders within the synthetic jet fuel industry.
Thanks, Manaha. So yes, we are going to produce new fuel, which is sustainable aviation fuel. But Sasol does have a history in certification of synthetic fuel. Our journey started back in 1991 when we embarked on production of synthetic jet fuel. That's about 3 decades ago already. Our fuel has undergone some testing for performance and quality. This was done in collaboration with OEMs, original equipment manufacturers in the aviation sector, as well as international certification bodies. So in 1999, Sasol proudly received certification for our semi-synthetic jet fuel. The journey continued, and in 2008, we were able to get certified for our 100% or fully synthetic jet fuel. So as we speak today, Sasol is a recognized global leader in synthetic jet fuel. We do supply this fuel locally via the OR Tambo International Airport. So, like I say, this was in collaboration with experts in the aviation industry. What we see in the slide here is the picture of the world's fully synthetic jet fuel, which took flight in 2010. So this is the flight taking off with our 100% synthetic fuel.
Branded with Sasol's logo, the roar of a jet engine on takeoff. What is the connection to Sasol and to innovation? The flight was the culmination of years of research, development and accreditation of the world's first fully synthetic jet fuel and bears testimony to Sasol's innovative spirit.
Thank you, Daisy. Certainly an exciting day in Sasol's life in 2010 with that achievement. And now that everybody knows what we're doing and how we're going about doing it, I'd like to ask another couple of questions to the lovely ladies here. Tabello, tell us what it's like to be joining Sasol EcoFT and your experience here.
Yeah, that's I don't know where to start, but I think I can't talk about my experience in joining the team without acknowledging the graduate development program, because it's the reason why I find myself sitting today telling you guys about Sasol EcoFT. So the graduate program, as much as it's structured, they do adhere and attend to our personal interests as well as our career aspirations. So Daniel and his team, I would like to thank them for that, and I would like to explain how Manaha and myself got into Sasol EcoFT. We were interviewed by the EcoFT expo, and that was very, it was very nerve-wracking because by the exco, I mean the SVP who is with his VPs, including Theo here, and I sat there and I was like, oh my gosh. But then again, I was like, why not me? If not me, then who? And that has been driving me. And I think another thing I like to highlight the team. The team is a very technically inclined and very experienced. But when you are in that space, you feel like one off. You do not feel like there's you as an engineer in training, and there's Theo and Janita and the rest of them, Martin, and as VPs, and you sit there. Obviously the first week was, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? But it's the way they allow you to be yourself. It's the way they listen to you. They also ensure that they explain things to you. So because there is a challenge between being very knowledgeable and not being able to give the knowledge further. But I can assure you at EcoFT, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of inclusion, and that is what makes me excited to wake up in the morning and be part of this team. And I just want to close with, when I did the interview, I was the last person to be interviewed, and so Helge, who's our SVP, had to be pulled out. You know, we're doing some serious work, so he had to be pulled out to go and attend to other important matters. But for me, it's how 30 minutes after my interviews ended, which was way past working hours, he calls me. I see my Teams is ringing. Oh my gosh, it's Helge, the SVP. He calls me and he introduces himself. I already knew him. I was on his LinkedIn page. He introduces himself. He tells me about how he's sorry that he couldn't make it to my interview, but he didn't want to sit out the discussions about the interviewees, and he wanted to interview me one-on-one. I think that for me really spoke volumes, because you have leadership that sees you as an individual, values you, and makes time for you. And we are millennials. We are all about wanting to be seen and be heard. And it's in that space where you are able to then add value, because at the end of the day, we want to add value. I want to wake up and know that what I'm doing makes a difference. So being in this team, you're able to be yourself. It's also a global space. We have people all around the globe. I mean, I speak to people from Germany, I speak to people from the States, and I'm just like, me from Limpopo? In Venda, you know, so it's really that helps you and encourages you to take what you've learned fundamentally and be in a space where you're able to grow and thrive. You do not sow a seed in unfertile soil and expect that it's going to sow something. So I feel like a seed that has been sowed in very fertile soil, and I look forward to work every day, and I'm grateful for the Sasol graduate program.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, Tabelo, thank you for those very kind words. But it really is people. People is what makes the world go round. And so important to make sure that we look after our young graduates. And you've mentioned the graduate development program. Manawa, can you explain to us a bit how you see the graduate development program benefiting young engineers?
As Tabelo mentioned, when you graduate from university, you are absorbed into the graduate development program, which is structured, but does allow you the flexibility to be able to experience the different departments within Sasol, as well as hone your skills depending on your different engineering disciplines. I'm an industrial engineer, and from varsity, you're already used to being able to juggle multiple modules that have different topics. Sasol enables you to cater to all of that diversity by introducing you and allowing you to experience different departments that will enable you to achieve all of your skills that you need to. We call them competencies that enable you to then get more confident in your position as an engineer within the company, and also allow you to get exposure to what otherwise you would not have known would be possible to achieve as an industrial engineer or any other engineer for that matter. Because sometimes when we learn about these careers from the outside, you just think your role is just going to be engineer up until the end. But this graduate program allows you the flexibility to gain skills in different areas and meet so many different people who will impact your journey significantly. I've had the pleasure of having excellent mentors who have guided me through my journey, who have also allowed me to express myself, what I felt I wanted to achieve long term, and also what my personality was like. I knew certain environments just wouldn't work well for me in terms of sitting on computers every day. I still wanted to engage with people, improve processes, as well as being able to drive profits, depending on the environment I was in. So working in these different environments enabled me to do so. And because we have so much exposure, as Tabelo said, when you perform excellently, and this program is about excellence fundamentally from beginning to the end. You were supported in your excellence, you were told to achieve more to be excellent, and you were challenged. So there's nowhere where you feel like you're bored in the program. And this program enables you to then also be able to get into new departments that you would otherwise not have known about. Hence, the opportunity to rotate with Sasol EcoFT was so impactful to both Tabelo and I, because I think we're the first ever cohort of industrial engineers, or engineers in training rather, who are involved in the program. And we can then pivot almost our own perspective of what we thought was possible to achieve in our careers to a far more greater height, and just fly with the team, so to speak.
Excellent. Thank you, Manawa. I think you've mentioned that there's no days of any boredom, and I think Daisy would also be able to attest to that. That Daisy, you've been here with the EcoFT team for about 9 months now, and I'm sure it's been very exciting, but probably also very challenging. So how about telling us a bit about what you found most challenging in your role as a business analyst?
Yeah, thank you, Theo. Actually, this experience brings back memories. I joined in February, and we were in this very room during my first week of joining Sasol EcoFT. It was a strategy session. I came from background, the operation background. Sasol EcoFT is different. I was a senior business analyst at Regional Asset Operation Services, ROAS, and I came first week, and as mentioned, is a senior team. I think I was the only one who was not a VP or senior manager. And I remember just the excitement during that first week as I got to learn about different pathways to produce the sustainable aviation fuel, different kinds of feedstocks, the size of the problem that we are trying to resolve as a team. Everything so exciting, but I also remember feeling a bit nervous and feeling also a bit overwhelmed, like, oh my word, you know, I was with the VPs, the SVPs, and we were visited by the GEC at that time. I look back about 7 months later, there's been so much growth that in me, in terms of my knowledge, my understanding, all these technologies that we're busy involved in. And I think, Yes, it's quite challenging, Theo. There's a lot of hard work. I think, Tabelo, you have mentioned, or Manaha, how we interacting with partners all over, well, we are aiming for a global operation, but at the moment, we are focusing on Europe. We have several opportunities that we're exploring with partners in Germany, in France, and just really getting to know how to work in that kind of an environment has been quite challenging, but I have to say it has been very exciting for me. I think what I love the most is the fact that I'm a chemical engineer by training, and I'm able to take that knowledge of chemical engineering, merge it with some business skills, and be able to explore together with different partners that we have, the opportunities that are landing on Sasol EcoFT's plate to see how we can help resolve this challenge that we're facing as the global community of climate change. So it's very exciting. I think what actually fires me up, even beyond the challenges of, there's a lot of hard work that is going on, but what fires me up is the fact that I know that the work that we're doing here at Sasol EcoFT is addressing one of the world's biggest challenge of our time, that being climate change. So all I can say is, it's exciting to see that we have the technology. We are able to, as Sasol EcoFT, to actually turn back time, almost, to really correct the problem that we have. So thank you very much for the question.
Thank you, Daisy. I think certainly exciting to be part of such a solution that's looking after how we help save the planet. And I think you've reflected quite a bit on growth, and it's super important to have the personal growth. And I can tell each and every one of you, I've been with Sasol for 28 years, and in this industry, and up to now, every day I still grow. I still get exposed to new things. This is such a new world opening up. So much technology-related matters, but also on the business side. And there's so much learning that happens every single day. So thank you very much, ladies, for a fantastic get-together here. Really enjoyed the discussion. And thank you very much to every one of you. You must have a fantastic day going forward. But most important, I want to see you soon at Sasol. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our panelists, Theo, Daisy, Manaha, and Tabelo. Aviation's impact on climate change is complex, as we all know. And with most of our learners over the last 4 days expressing that climate change and reducing carbon emissions is their top priority, it's good to know that this fantastic team of superminds at Sasol EcoFT is doing their part in reaching net zero by 2050. So well done again to that panel, and thank you to all the panelists for an amazing discussion.